Hello and welcome to episode, I want to say 154-ish. I'm not exactly positive though. I forgot count. But I'm Jason.
Bill. And it's been an interesting week. So, Jason's talking about our impressions of the Super Bowl. What do you think?
I thought overall it was kind of a crappy game. I mean, it wasn't like a super exciting game up until that fourth quarter, I didn't feel like.
No. I think they kept them, on both teams, they kind of kept it under wraps for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And San Francisco especially too long.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs sort of played the way they played every single playoff game, which is come out of the gates really slow and then just come back and destroy people. And, the 49ers, I mean, obviously you saw John Lynch calling timeout when they got the ball with the minute 39, when they stopped them in the first half.
Yep.
And it seemed like they were just afraid. It seemed like the coach was happy to go up, be happy 10-10 going into halftime.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he played not to lose in the second half. So what do you think of all the criticism he's been getting?
It's tough because, on the plays he called, they didn't execute. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo missed Kittle wide open. He had two balls batted down where there were open receivers. Emmanuel Sanders was open on that ball that could have been a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
And they didn't execute,
Yep.
I mean, it's easy to say, in the moment, I was thinking, all right, you ran Mostert when you're up by, I think, 3. You ran Mostert ahead for 5 on first down. You're the best running team in football, so why not just run it for the next 2 downs? And you'll probably get your first down and maybe continue the clock. But the play action was...
You really had 3 that you could have went on fourth down.
Yeah.
If it was short because you got that guy. I mean, I think they tried to do something different. They came out through a lot more than they did the last couple playoff games.
Right, but there was a time after that crappy first interception where he wasn't even looking where he was throwing. Garoppolo was 12 of 13, and they were moving the ball. So, and like I said, I mean, he had Kittle wide open and missed him. He had those 2 balls batted down where, again, the receivers were open. He just, Chris Jones played fantastic.
Yep.
And, again, Sanders was open. That was a great play call, and they didn't execute.
Yeah, he overthrew him by 5 yards.
And again, the best defense in football, according to, the stats people, didn't look like the best defense in football in the fourth quarter. And that's no knock against Bosa, who was...
I think they were worn out.
Yeah, Bosa was phenomenal that entire game.
Yep, he was. He has a big motor. I enjoyed watching him play.
I think they say he's the first player to have double-digit pressures. And then he had the strip,
Yeah.
But I think as we discussed before, knowing who Mahomes seems like he's going to be, I like that he's already won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now that won't be part of the discussion moving forward. And Andy Reid, like I said, he seems like a good guy. He seems way more likable than Kyle Shanahan. So.
While I rooted for the 49ers, I was not sad to see the Chiefs win.
No.
I mean, they're all good people except for Tyreek Hill.
Well, considering the Patriots weren't playing and the Steelers weren't playing, this may be the first Super Bowl in the last, I want to say, 2 decades that I just didn't care who won.
Yeah. And it makes it fun to watch that way sometimes.
Yeah, it was just an enjoyable football game, yeah. Now, if I were to pick an MVP that wasn't Mahomes, I would have picked Chris Jones, the defensive lineman.
And I would have picked Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Because I thought the running back had a nice game, but
yeah.
Half of his yards came on the garbage touchdown at the end.
Yep.
And, he played really well, but I didn't think he was people were should have got the MVP. And I'm with that last 40-something yards and a touchdown, really made it look...
He doesn't get 100 yards without that garbage run.
Yeah, he had 66 yards and the rushing touchdown, and he had the receiving touchdown that I'm still not sure if he got in. I mean, they probably would have scored on the next play anyway, but...
You know what? It's a good call. I think he was out and reached back over. I just, I don't like that anyhow, that you could do that.
No.
I mean, I think you should really have to put the ball in the end zone.
Or do that thing where you put a chip in either side of the football and have it on the goal, and see if it...
Yeah.
Because, again, I think that was one of those plays that if they called him out at the half-yard line, it would have upheld being out at the half-yard line, and they called it a touchdown, so it upheld as a touchdown. Not that the refs were conspiring. It was hard to really.
No. But you know what? It's called a touchdown for a reason.
Yeah. And in rugby, you literally have to touch the ball down in the end zone.
You used to have to in football too.
Yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah, that's why it was called touchdown.
Yeah. What do you think about the commercials?
I think I might be kind of over Super Bowl commercials.
I love the Bill Murray Jeep commercial that everybody rated the best because I love that movie and I thought he was great in that commercial.
And it was nice seeing Ned Ryerson or whoever that guy is back in it.
Yes. Yeah,
that was nice. I don't know why, but I do like the Big Papi bad Boston accent commercial.
Yeah, I thought Rachel's accent was the worst, and I thought the guys were real believable.
Well, everyone is from Boston except for Big Papi in that commercial, I think, right?
Yeah, but Rachel sounded way overdone, didn't she?
Yeah, but I think she always does when she does the SNL Boston accent too, though.
But I thought the guys were that was real natural, and I thought it was really showed. I liked how it showed the car being able to do that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, as far as the product goes, as people pointed out, though, I don't know if that was a Hyundai or a Honda or what the actual car was, but it looked cool, whatever it did.
Yeah. My car does that, too, my Tesla. It's called Summon. It's not called Smart Park. It's called Summon.
Ah, Summon. I kind of like Summon better. It sounds more surreal.
Yeah. So I liked the Porsche commercial, too.
Oh, was that the one
where they're going chasing it and they take turns being a bad guy?
And it's for the electric Porsche, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I've heard, I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but I said if you watch, the Heinz ketchup commercial that ended in the 4...
Yeah, it was real... I didn't get that either.
They said there's a lot of hidden things in each of the 4 squares on the television. But I think that's hard to get that's hard to come across, I think, in a Super Bowl commercial, When people are walking around eating food, watching commercials, talking,
yeah.
I think it's harder to focus on tiny details in a commercial. And then obviously we got a lot of Marvel.
Yep.
A lot of Marvel. TV shows. And it's pretty crazy because I think it's a transition because I think if you read the article with Kevin Feige, the Marvel guy,
mm-hmm.
all the TV shows that are going Disney Plus are having movie-like budgets. So, I mean, in the past, it's been like the CW and the WB have done Smallville
right.
and Gotham. And these are like the full-on, the actual cast of the Marvel movies doing full-on Disney Plus television shows. So,
I think Disney Plus is going to be really successful.
I bought it for the 3 years because it was a really good deal because I got all the episodes of The Simpsons, which was a nice little added bonus.
Okay.
And that's all I've watched on it. What's that?
What did you pay for 3 years?
$120.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I was really excited about the Star Wars nostalgia stuff at the time and The Mandalorian, and I've kind of fallen off on all that sort of stuff.
And you have Apple too, right? Apple TV Plus?
I have, and I've been watching my first Apple TV series. I've been watching C with Jason Momoa.
Okay, and?
I think it's a lot of what's happening in TV right now. There's so much content. And while there's a ton of mediocre content, obviously, there's also a lot of just B. If you're grading on, we're both academics, and can't even say it right. I sound really good with it. But I would give it a lot of B minus television on right now.
Yep.
Where maybe a couple decades ago when there was less options, it would have been considered far better. But now with so much stuff on, it was sort of just, it's compelling enough that I want to watch. But if they didn't bring it back for another season, I probably wouldn't be sad.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a lot of the stuff going on today with sort of politics involved, and then blind people fighting, knowledge and who gets knowledge, who doesn't get knowledge, who has this, haves, have-nots, and sort of things along those lines, and egos, and So it's got some stuff going for it. It's really well produced, but
yeah.
And I'm really excited to watch the I forget what it's called, but Rob Matheny and Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia have that show about running a video game company. It comes out this week, and that one looks really good.
TV, I started watching The Outsider on HBO.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good.
It's fantastic so far.
Yeah. Jason Bateman always, I know he's good, but he always surprises me.
Yeah.
He's just, to me, he's like an under-the-radar guy, but every time I watch him in something, I usually enjoy it.
And he's directed a few of the episodes and done a really good job.
And he killed himself off in the first episode.
Spoilers. And Dennis Lehane is one of the writers of the show. He's writing an upcoming episode. We love him.
Yep.
Price is obviously a really good writer. My only concern with it, and I did not read the book, and I know there's 10 episodes, and I'm very excited to watch the next 5 as they come along.
Mm-hmm.
It's that even though the Stephen King adaptations have come, infinitely better than they used to be. Like they look really good. They're professional and everything else.
Yep.
They still, the endings are still tough. And
yeah, because it depends on what the thing looks like at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a great movie until you see it at the end.
Exactly.
Because when you read the book, you could picture it, and that was okay, whatever you pictured in your head. But I didn't picture that in my book when I read the book.
Right. And even the new adaptations, like I said, it's a great cast. They're beautifully shot. They're very compelling. But then you get to the end, and you're sort of like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping this doesn't suffer the same fate. I don't know. So we'll see.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be good. And then I've had a lot of people recommend the Aaron Hernandez thing on Netflix. Have you seen that yet?
I have not.
I've had a lot of people recommend it. I saw there's one on Amazon Prime, but people said the one on Netflix is really amazing.
I've heard good things. The one thing I would say, did I talk about Don't F With Cats on the show, that documentary about the real-life murder that took place on the internet?
No.
Okay, that's also a Netflix special. And apparently, in the last decade, there was a live murder on the internet. And not on the dark web, on like the regular internet. And I had no idea, and I feel like I spent a lot of time online. I know a lot of stupid stuff, but I'd never heard of this. But it's basically about this. He starts out by murdering cats online in this video. And there was a group of cat lovers who were also like computer people that live their life online for the most part.
Uh-huh.
And they started helping the police track this guy down. Like they were breaking down every footage. They were looking at like the outlets in the room when they would do close-ups and realized that they weren't American outlets and, all sorts of stuff along those lines.
Oh, I did read about that, yeah.
And the one thing they talk about at the end is this guy wanted attention. And he got attention initially. And they're well aware that the documentary they're making, while it is a cautionary tale, they're also playing into giving him attention for the negative behavior,
Right.
So it's like you're complicit in making the documentary. You're also complicit in watching the documentary. And I've been thinking more and more about that as far as some of the true crime, Aaron Hernandez sort of things, as far as watching, like sort of contributing to, I know it's a little bit different on that one, but it does make there was some thought to that,
Well, speaking more of television, what starts on Sunday?
I don't.
The XFL.
Oh, the XFL, yes.
And they sneak it up on everybody. We really haven't talked much about it.
I know.
The XFL hasn't talked much about it. Let's put it that way.
No. I know they're going to talk about it on gambling shows. Oh, yeah.
Talking about, I guess he's going to quarterback. He's quarterbacking one of the teams. And I guess in the second game of the doubleheader, we'll get to watch Laundry Jones.
Yeah. Who is the consensus biggest name in the XFL as of right now?
I'd say it's either Cardell Jones or Landry Jones.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
And that's what I criticize because, if you're really Vince McMahon and you want to make a spectacle, why did you go after Joe Burrow like the AFL did with Joe Namath and go after him and just really drive everybody crazy?
Yeah. Or like you said, back the Brinks truck up to Trevor Lawrence's house and be like, drop out of school right now. You can come to the XFL when you're 1 year out of college. We don't need you to
pick your team.
Yeah.
Do everything else. Yeah. Well, I'll be curious because, you only have one chance to make that good first impression.
like I said, I think I compared it to his other business, the WWE, and AEW is the rival wrestling company that's really come on. And while they definitely have some WWE like former WWE guys in the wrestling,
Uh-huh.
they've made it a point not to go get like old retreads that washed out of WWE, and they're not putting up all these old legends that can no longer go in the WWE. Like they wanted to make sure that like they were bringing their own new exciting players to the dance.
Right.
Where the XFL really does feel like. Landry Jones was the Steelers' backup quarterback, and then he was out of the league for a year, and now he's their quarterback. And, Cardell Jones was, bounced around, and people thought he would be good, and clearly not good enough for the NFL. So, why am I going to watch the XFL?
Agreed. So there's been a lot of noise lately about the NFL going to a 17-game schedule, and they're going to buy the players off by doing a lot of things like taking away the marijuana penalty and offer them a bunch of money and everything else. So are the players going to abandon their position that it's too unhealthy to play 17 regular season games, or are they going to stick to it?
Oh, I think they're going to fold like a cheap table. I mean,
I think so too.
And again,
it always works out that way because the guys that are making a decision,
yeah,
they know how short their lifetime is, and if there was a lockout, they're going to lose, part of the season and part of a pension thing and everything else.
Yeah.
So, the owners really have them by the short hairs.
And again, you justify it. It's more money. We're going to get a few small things that they should probably have already anyway. I mean, marijuana is going to be legal in the country forever. So I don't know what the point is. That shouldn't even be an issue right now. And then you justify it. It's one more game.
And you get rid of a couple exhibition games, which is good for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody likes that part of it. But on the other hand, if you're the coach, it's really your chance to evaluate your players.
It's true.
And I think if there's only two and you're going to try and evaluate, you got to get your guys ready. I think the first week if they get a 17-game schedule and get rid of 2 exhibition games, I'm going to predict that the first week of the season is going to be really sloppy because it's really going to be like an exhibition game.
I think so. I think that's probably true.
It's sad. Well, sticking with football, I saw a mock draft today with Joe Burrow's going 1 and Tua going 5. And I voiced, we were talking offline, I voiced my concern about that hip injury because you're going to end up paying about $27 to $35 million.
Yeah.
Too, if you take him in that spot. That seems to me like an awful big gamble. But again, I guess it's one of those things, if you pass and he turns out to be a star, it's a good way to get fired.
It's a great way to get fired. And like I said, I think if you're the Dolphins, you have, I think, 3 first-round picks this year, including the Steelers and somebody else's.
Yeah, you got the Steelers and the Raiders, right?
Yeah, so you got the Steelers, the Raiders, and then you got your own. So, I mean, I think you take a shot on the guy that was the consensus #1 pick in the draft the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And just hope that, the hip injury's good, and maybe you can even, re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick and let Tua almost have another year, make sure he gets...
Fitzpatrick's signed, he's coming back for another year.
Yeah, and you got Tua, and you can, bring him along as slowly as possible. I don't know.
I mean, Philadelphia has 3 picks in the top 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did notice that Justin Herbert, I don't know, is it Hebert or Herbert? I think Herbert, 'cause he's from Oregon. He slipped. He's not even in the top 10 of most mock drafts right now.
Yeah, I've seen him, I saw him once at 7, but most of the time I get between 11 and 13.
Yeah.
And they said it's like a leadership issue. It's like, can he take command of the huddle? Can he take command of the room? Is this a guy that people are going to run after and respect? So, I mean, that's a nasty thing to be carrying around with you if people were perceived to be that way.
Well, the last guy they said that about was Marcus Mariota. And as a quiet, sort of different sort of cat. And he has a job right now, so.
Yeah, he's not likely to. Well, somebody's going to pick him up.
Yeah. Just
like when RG3 flamed out, you got to take him. I mean, he'd be a great number 2. And maybe he needs another break. Maybe he needs a break to be in a different market to make things better. I don't know.
Or, yeah, I mean, I don't remember watching him and ever being all that impressed with his physical ability either. I think is one of the issues, but it'll be interesting to see, like, if he gets the, if he found himself in a situation like Roethlisberger was with the Steelers, where the leaders on that team were, they didn't need to listen to a rookie quarterback.
Right.
You had, leaders on both sides of the ball. You had Bettis and offensive linemen. You had James Fair. You had all these defensive players that already were the guys that got up and led. So you could pretty much just go out and physically perform. So maybe in a situation like that could be a good spot for him too.
And speaking of that, shout out to Troy Polamalu.
First ballot Hall of Famer. I'm very, very happy about that.
And just like we said, joining Donnie Shell and Bill Cowher, and Al Faneca should be joining it. Hopefully he'll get in next year.
Hopefully.
But four Steelers in one class would have been a little over the top for everybody. I think three might be two, but I think Donnie Shell really deserves it too. So I'm excited about two Steeler safeties going into the Hall.
Yeah, and like I said, I talked about it last week, but a lot of players from Ray Lewis to Tom Brady, went out. And I don't think Tom Brady. I think he unsolicited just threw out a shout out to Tom. He put out a post about how awesome Troy Polamalu was, which I think is pretty. I mean, if the greatest quarterback of all time says you're a Hall of Famer, I think they have to vote you in no matter what. Not that he shouldn't have been anyway, but it was just a nice gesture on his part.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess we can speculate. We can go on Brady watch like the rest of the country. He had his Hulu ad. I'm not going anywhere, but he didn't necessarily. He meant football wise.
So, like you pointed, we were talking offline. You point out that the Patriots really don't have a plan B.
No.
So they're kind of at a real disadvantage, unless they're going to unless they sign like a Drew Brees or a Phillip Rivers or somebody, and put him in with that system for a year till they make it and draft a player. So hard to say where that goes. Does Brady go back there? I think I'm probably more than 50-50 that he does. If he doesn't, the Chargers make sense. He's from that area. The Raiders would make a lot of sense because he's gonna be part of the Las Vegas Raiders. But then you're giving up on David Carr.
Oh, I think they've given up on Derek Carr already.
Okay, so you think that's done? Okay.
I think that's done. I think the interesting spots are Tennessee, because all their quarterbacks are free agents. Vrabel's a former Patriot that played with Tom Brady. That team is the most Patriot-like team I've seen. You got A.J. Brown, you got Derrick Henry, you got some weapons, and a nice offensive line. So I could see that being a spot. And then we just watched the team that can get out of their quarterback by paying him $0 lose the Super Bowl. And you have to wonder if that team had Tom Brady in the fourth quarter if they would have won the Super Bowl. And that's the San Francisco 49ers where his hero Joe Montana played.
Yeah. I don't think you give up on Garoppolo then.
I don't think you do either. But, it's interesting.
I like what I told you too offline, that if the Cowboys don't want to pay Dak the money, they make him a restricted free agent. Obviously, somebody would sign Dak. That'd give the Cowboys two number one draft picks. They could draft a quarterback, and they could sign Brady and go for the Super Bowl.
That's
an interesting speculation. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's interesting speculation.
I think it's it's one of sadly the most exciting stories. That and the probably very lackluster NBA trade deadline. You go to the NBA now. It's 2 days away.
Anything happened yet today, right?
No. The Rockets apparently want to get rid of... What's that?
I really think something you said on the show is going to happen.
What did I say?
That the Sixers should break up Embiid and Ben. And I think they might do that.
I don't think that'll happen until next year after they have a new coach.
But they're really self-destructing right now. They look horrible.
Yeah.
They got beat by like 20-some points by the Heat last night.
Well, Ben Simmons came out and called them soft, which is true because they were very soft.
Yeah. And it's hard to think of a team with Joel Embiid as soft.
It's true.
They are soft.
But he's a little soft and pudgy. And I'm not fat-shaming him. I'm just saying for a professional athlete that keeps claiming he's going to be in the best shape of his life does not look like he ever gets in the best shape of his life.
No. Well, they definitely missed Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, but they didn't like Jimmy Butler because he was too mean to them.
They didn't like him, but I'll tell you what, it makes a really look where Miami is. I think Miami's 34-15.
Yeah, they're the 4 seed right now. Yeah,
and who would have thought that? I mean, that's the same team they had last year plus Jimmy Butler.
and Tyler Hero is pretty nice too. Yep. They got some nice pieces. But
so they've been a fun team to watch in those blue Vice uniforms.
Yeah. Well, Daryl Morey apparently wants to have a team that's all 6'6". He wants to get rid of Clint Capella. He's trying to move him right now.
Yeah, I like Clint Capella.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're the Rockets, not the I guess the problem is Capella never turned out to be what you thought he was going to be when you paid him.
Yep.
And he can't handle Anthony Davis. He can't handle Rudy Gobert. He can't handle the Joker. Probably can't even handle Steven Adams. So you're paying him all this money and he clogs up the lane for, he's not a back to the basket guy. You can't give him the ball. So why not bring in somebody else? I think is what they're thinking.
Well, there was a move today that you're probably really happy about. Steve Mills is no longer head of basketball operations at the Knicks.
It's true. That's very exciting because you'd heard speculation of dumber things they were thinking about doing. So that's really nice. They're just such a mess. Like,
it's hard to imagine a franchise that's more of a mess than that franchise.
It really, they're an embarrassment right now. Like, they're one of the most embarrassing teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the incredible tradition, I know they haven't won a lot of championships historically, but those 90s Knicks teams, those are my favorite basketball teams.
Yeah, I know.
And
the 70s Knicks teams are my favorite Knicks teams.
Yeah, I was thinking about, they obviously ran up to Jordan. They couldn't get past Jordan, but, they were, a great organization. It's so much fun to watch, and now they're just, everything they do is just embarrassing.
Yeah.
But at least I know they were, talking about trying to keep Marquise Morris and sign him to an extension of that, the 30-year-old. I'm like, Jesus Christ, please don't do that. You should be dumping all these pieces. If somebody wants Julius Randle and you get these guys off your books, take them. Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
It's just sad. I don't know.
All right, did we talk about all the sports stuff we want to talk about?
I think so. Yeah, there's some tennis, but randomly saw at the gym at 4 a.m. That was about it.
The Waste Management Open was this week, and again, they were getting 250,000 people. It's amazing. Just amazing, because it is just a big celebration that happens to take place on the golf course.
Good for them.
They have fun.
Yeah.
Any food?
I don't think I had any food this week, sadly. No, I didn't have any food this week. Well, I ate, obviously, but nothing new or exciting.
I had food last night. I'm here in Phoenix, and I took my top performers out to Richardson's New Mexico cuisine. And we ordered appetizers, and I ordered a chicken, a steak, and a shrimp quesadilla. So 3 different quesadillas.
I like a good quesadilla.
I do too. And I liked it so much that I ended up eating half of the appetizers, and I didn't even order dinner.
Oh.
And it's one of my favorite restaurants in Phoenix. But tomorrow night, I'm going to my other favorite restaurant in Phoenix, Texas, TEXAZ. And I saw a sign they had today, Jason, that said, we sold 976,000 chicken fried steaks since they've been open.
Damn.
Yep. And I don't even order chicken fried steak there because it's way too... I ordered it once, and it was good, but I could never come close to finishing it.
And do they cook it on the stovetop, or do they do the deep fry thing?
They did a deep fry, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
And the cream gravy's really good. But I usually do smoked prime rib.
That sounds pretty excellent.
It is pretty excellent. It's really tender. It's really smoky. And then I get mashed potatoes with cream gravy to go with it.
Oh, so you get the gravy anyway. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice mix.
Yeah.
It's a real nice mix. And I'll just reemphasize, if you have HBO or HBO Go, watch The Outsider. It's really good.
Really good. episode 1 and watched episode 2 and get scared at the end of episode 2, so she waited to watch episode 3 and 4 till today during the day.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's really. I mean, you said it's really well done. It's everything about it's just good.
Yeah, it grabs your attention
right out the gate.
So I'll be headed to the NBA All-Star game next week in Chicago.
Yes.
I'm probably not staying for the game, but I am going to the NBA Tech Summit like I always do on Friday, and I'm going to go to All-Star Saturday night. And I always enjoy All-Star Saturday night. But there are some changes to the NBA All-Star format this year. What do you think of them?
I like them. I mean, it's a pretty boring game, so anything to change it up a little bit, make it a little more exciting. I like math, so numbers don't scare me either. So.
And you like the charity contributions, obviously.
Charity contributions are fantastic. I like that, it's almost every quarter its own quarter, and you're dedicating to Kobe this year, which, the first to score 24 in the fourth quarter. I mean, depending, it might make players play a little harder.
Yeah.
One can obviously
and everybody's either wearing 224 or 8.
Yeah. And
they don't call any fouls anyhow, so it really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And you can't. Can you foul out of an All-Star game?
I don't think so.
So kind of you can anyway. Yeah. So.
I think he did foul somebody out with 2 fouls. I don't think anybody's ever gotten 4 or 5 fouls.
And I am interested to watch Dwight Howard in the dunk contest this year.
Oh, that's right. Who did they announce in the dunk contest?
Aaron Gordon from the Orlando Magic, who is in about 18 different trade rumors right now.
Yep.
Because people are still convinced that. I mean, Orlando's been just a terrible, terrible organization as well. They're an embarrassment for the league as well. The way they just don't know what to do with players. But Dwight Howard, and then a couple people I've never really heard. I think Zach LaVine, and then a couple of players I haven't really heard of.
I do like Zach LaVine.
I'm pretty sure he committed. I'm 99% sure. But Dwight Howard, I think, is the interesting one. It's like.
That'd be so awesome if Dwight Howard came back after all the stuff he's been through and won a slam dunk contest.
No, it's actually the dunk contest participants are Aaron Gordon, Dwight Howard, the Heat's Derrick Jones Jr., and that dude can fly.
Okay.
And then Pat, I want to say Connaughton of the Bucks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll be interested to watch that.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it just Dwight Howard at this age and, finally seems like he's kind of maybe found a place and figured himself out a little bit.
I think so. And I'm happy that's happened.
I know. I tell people all the time when I was in grad school, I did a little documentary and I got to talk to some NBA players. And Dwight Howard went out of his way to be nice to me. Yeah. And like I said, his agent literally pulled him away from us like 5 seconds after we got to him. And Dwight Howard was like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to find you, which I thought, it's like the big goodbye at the end of you sell somebody at a party and you kind of ignore them. But like he came, brought us to a private little spot and talked to us for like 20 minutes. So,
that's all.
And it, again, that's very personal, that's my personal interaction with him, but it was very positive. And I just feel like, the organization, like I know they had a chance when we were there, like early on, they could have brought in Chauncey Billups. But I think they were worried about an injury. He went on to play really well after that. And maybe if you had brought some players around him early that could have,
Yeah, could have done some. He needed help.
He needed help. And, a guy like Chauncey Billups or one of those other guys they could have brought in, maybe it would have been a difference in his career. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a fun show. So we got one show coming up, then we get the All-Star coming up. And we need to figure out how to get some guests when I'm in New Orleans. Maybe we could do a show when I'm in New Orleans with some guests live with us.
Yeah.
So we can do that. I know we're going to have fun showing people our favorite foods in New Orleans.
Yes, definitely.
And those will be on my Twitter, my Facebook, and I'll put them, and I'll try and figure out another place to put them. In Instagram, I'll put them in those 3 places. Jason and I with the live food. And Chase is going to go out to dinner with us so we can do that.
That's perfect.
Yep. All right, everybody, have a good week.